State of the franchise is back. We have some roster moves and non-roster moves to react to today. We had some big shakeups in the NFL. Stefon Diggs no longer a Bill, and what impact that has to potentially Brandon Aiyuk and all that good stuff moving forward. And of course, anything that you guys want to offer up in the chat, let us know. We are open to hear from you, and we're going to talk about all things 49ers right now. That's Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. We're going to get into it all right now. We typically start off the show by me asking our good friend Jason Aponte about the vibes. But as you can see, the hat that he's wearing, I'm not watching the game. I'm just judging your reactions. What are the vibes over there, though? Have they changed within the last 15 seconds?
Yes, they have. The Yankees have two outs now in the bottom of the 10th, and they are one out away from taking the day off. And I will be at Yankee Stadium on Friday for the home opener. Hopefully, the New
Oh,
York Yankees, the best team in baseball, will be 6-1 in a few minutes. But I want to say this, Brad. Congratulations on winning the media bracket. Well deserved. I think everyone
thank you, pal.
recognizes the work that you put in. Everyone, this is your year. Like, this is absolutely your year to win it, man. And it absolutely makes sense, man. Nobody puts out more content. Nobody puts out better content than you. And the game is tied. The Yankees stink. I'll be damned. I'll be damned. Baseball's not a sport again. That it happens that fast. But
Right in queue.
yeah, baseball's. I'll be damned. Baseball is not a real sport. Confirmed. But no, Brad. I just want to make sure that congratulations, man, and you deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. And the people recognize the work you put in, the content you put out, and all the hard work that you do, man. And I'm just so proud of you, man. I'm proud to call you a friend, but you're a very good analyst as well.
Well, dude, I appreciate that so much. And again, I think it's cool, right? Because it's all for fun. But when you look at the pool, what do we have? 64 people in the bracket.
Yeah,
Rob
the biggest because
Rivera
last
put
year
it
it
on.
was 32. It was 32 last year,
Right. And then
and you got pretty
still,
far last year as well too.
I got cooked by Matt Mayoko, I think, in the Sweet 16. So it was a bit of a redemption arc for me to have to go through Matt Mayoko. Not only Matt Mayoko, it was like I was going down the list of all the like top beat reporters, Lombardi, Wagner. I was like, geez, man, like how many guys can you put me up against that have been doing this for a
Lombardi
long
smoked me, by
time?
the way.
Hey, you were close. Hey, it
I
was
was
close
close.
there for a second.
It was
And then
close. It was close for a little bit. It was very close there for a little bit, but then obviously, and Lombardi deserves it, to move on. And again, all this stuff is for fun. But hey, being in the conversation is just cool.
The biggest takeaway is we have so many awesome creators, yourself included, and that's what makes it cool. I think
Yeah.
like is to be able to be voted uh the first, like crazy, man, crazy. But we, the vibes. We're out here grinding, not going to change a single thing. We're still trying to improve, get better, and refine our craft, and that's exactly what we will continue to do. Hey man, I need a Jason Aponte rise next year. I want to see Aponte rise to the top. Can't I mean you've always told me, Jason, one of the first things that I told you, and even in some of the struggles like that we've both gone through as content creators, you always say the cream rises to the top, man. No
Yeah.
matter what, the cream rises to the top. And hey, I think it's your turn next, baby boy.
Hey, just even making it like to the last year the Elite Eight, this year the Sweet 16, and running into somebody like Lombardi, that's fine. But I do appreciate anybody who enjoys my content, and I still am a bit floored that anybody's actually really stuck with me and actually um still cares. And it's still humbling to this day. But I think for the people that we all kind of like all in the same circles when it comes to that, we're all like pulling for each other. The ones that like we're like the ones that like we really recognize, and it doesn't want to just come off like, hey, you just happen to be doing it. We're rooting for you. Like, like we believe in the people that we believe are talented. And and I've told you a million times off of the air and all that stuff about like how much I love your insight, your knowledge of the game, your angle towards the game. So yeah, I'm just so happy to see it happen, and you deserve all the flowers. It's really fun.
Hey man, it's a win for the state of the franchise. We had Sweet 16. We got the dub at the end. Uh I was close though because I was like, damn, if I have to go up against a Ponte, what was it in like the Elite Eight? I was like, that would have made for
Honestly,
some good content though. We could have spun it a certain way and, and
hey,
made it.
I would have listen. We're talking about Mr. 100,000 on YouTube, Mr. Making posts while we're on the show for Instagram. I have no shot. I have no shot. I would have no shot, but I have no problem losing to my good friend. And you know what? I have no problem losing to someone who puts in a ton of work. So yeah.
I appreciate you, man, but don't sell yourself short. Niners Nation, Sprint Ride Option Podcast, Bully Ball. You had the freaking Bleacher Report in person, Super Bowl
That
coverage.
was cool.
Wow, come on, pal. And you guys should see this dude move at the NFL Combine. It's impressive. Um, but enough of the passing back of flowers. Let's talk about some of the roster moves that have been going down. Let's start with the Niners, and then we'll transition into the Stefon Diggs move because that is a league wide impact, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. But we had two moves. First, I want to get your reaction on Brock Wright not coming to the San Francisco 49ers. The Lions said, not today, pal. That's our guy. No way you're going to take him. Detroit Lions retain Brock Wright, match the 49ers deal of 3 years, 12 million, 6 million guaranteed. What was your reaction to that? Were you surprised?
Not really. But I think what the 49ers are telling you is Cam Latu and Braden Willis are not in their future plans. And I think that's the takeaway. The takeaway is the 49ers are trying to fill in. They lose Charlie Warner to Atlanta. They're trying to fill in this tight end 2 spot, but they drafted 2 tight ends last season. And yet, here they are offering Brock Wright 3 years, $12 million. And I said, and Mav, Niners Nation is the company that I work for. That's what he's saying.
Matt, how dare you say Niners Nation?
I am so tired of that Niner Empire, Niner Nation thing. Let me look in the camera real quick. Let me look in the camera. I do not care. I do not care. I work for SB Nation and I work for Niners Nation. That is the name of the website.
Literally the biggest blog that covers the San Francisco 49ers.
This is the biggest nothing burger argument for all the things that 49er fans could be upset about. Empire and Nation is insane. Now you're just making things up at this point. Anyway, the biggest thing that you should take away from this is the big
argument, dude. I cannot tell you how, because I run all these sites, I get all the comments, man. Anytime a player drops a Niner Nation, dude, you get the guys in the comments. It's not Niners Nation, pal.
We're an empire. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? The answer is who cares. Anyway, Brad.
Sorry, that was funny.
You're good. You're good. It's just it happens all the time. And I had a discussion too about the whole what you should call San Francisco, San Fran, all that stuff too. Like all that stuff is insane. Like it's crazy.
That's another conversation for another day.
Whole other thing. Yeah, for another day. I mean, maybe we should end with that because I do want to get some insight from the people from the Bay of like why that is such an issue.
The San Fran thing.
The San Fran thing.
Dude, okay. So I went to the Academy of Art located in the heart of downtown San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
One of my classes, the very first day, one of my professors brings up a literal presentation of the things you don't call San Francisco. And one of them was Frisco. And for me, I'm like, it was San Fran, Frisco. Like, you don't call San Francisco this. And I'm like, bro, I've been listening to Bay Area rap for a long time, and they refer like dudes from from that part of town, rapping out of South San Francisco, out of, Hunters Point, all those different places, they call it Frisco. So to me, I'm like, all right, that's not weird. The San Fran thing, it's just an ownership problem, like, oh, you don't want to call it that. But anyone outside of the 49ers is going to call it San Fran.
And
It's just gonna happen.
and for me, I think my experience in the Bay Area is the city. Like they just call it the city. I mean, that's why it's on the Golden State Warriors jerseys. I
Which
digress, though.
I do think people have a problem with that too, but I don't care. I don't
What
care
do we know? Can I get a list of things that we should have a problem with? I work for a company called Niners Nation. Don't call it that. Sorry, can't change the name. Don't know what you want me to call it. Can't call it San Fran. Can't call it the city. Can't call it Frisco. Can't call it San Francisco. Guys, why? What? Like, someone explain to me, like, why we have this list of things that are like, of all the things that we kill each other with all the time. Why are these the things that we're arguing about right now? All right,
it's human nature, right? We just want to
Right.
argue about things. That's why it's sports talk is perfect. It's phenomenal.
Back to the back to the Santa Clara 49ers.
Well done.
Brock Wright is what they're doing when they're showing you what they want to fill in and why they've kept Charlie Warner around so long. It's kind of condemning towards Cam Latu and Brayden Willis. So Cam Latu has this entire season where he's redshirted, and he's redshirted right after the drops happen. Remember, Brad? Remember we're talking
Dude, you called this on the head like a straight up week and a half before this happened. You said, just wait. Just wait. It's going to happen.
The drops are happening, and then I was like, there's going to be a phantom injury that's going to knock him out for the entire season. And you can go back and we can find it. It's literally, these are the words. And then all of a sudden, well, Cam Latu has a knee injury that's going to keep him out for the season. It's a red shirt year. And then Brayden Willis, he pops up and he plays minimal snaps. And then they go after Brock Wright. I'll tell you this. I suspect the San Francisco 49ers are going to draft a tight end in this draft, trying to find that spot. KP of Niners Nation, the editor of Niners Nation, God, cover your ears, guys. He pointed out that the 49ers had the most success out of two tight end sets, but that only works when one of them can block, because the idea is to get Kittle and McCaffrey lined up on linebackers. So the 49ers are not going away from that. And clearly they value it when they drafted Latu and Willis, but clearly they're telling you that they aren't as confident in their next year jump, and they want to get somebody to fill that spot. So the 49ers are going to draft another tight end. If they're not telling you with their actions by trying to sign Brock Wright, just look at the way that they handled both of these young men this season.
Yeah, I will say this. I have spoke to someone that I do trust who has, the proper resources. And I've heard good things about Brayden Willis. So I think we both saw the upside that Brayden Willis had in camp. Again, we knew he wasn't a finished product. We knew he showed signs of quality athleticism, even blocking in training camp. But he was drafted in the 7th round. That would lend you to believe there was some development to be had. But I will say I have heard good things. However, I've not heard the same about Cameron Latu. So I think that you're absolutely right that this puts a huge question mark on top of Cameron Latu's head. I think, again, it's going to be a pick that was scrutinized. It was already scrutinized the day of the draft because
it felt too early.
It felt too early. It felt 2 rounds too early. Felt like you could have absolutely waited till the 5th if you wanted to, like where that Darrell Luter spot was. Felt like he was going to be there, and you could have taken him there, and maybe it would have been more digestible because you would have been able to get maybe an offensive lineman there or something. They go the opposite route, and I do think that the Brock Wright thing is a signal to, unfortunately, the whole league that the 49ers are in the business of finding a tight end too. Now, does that mean they go out and get a Robert Tonyan potentially? I do think they get a veteran tight end before the draft. I think if there's anything that we've seen from the 49ers, I think
Oh, you got muted. Real quick though, it gives me a chance to say, what's Jordan Reed doing?
I was gonna take it. Jordan Reed. But I think it comes down to the 49ers fill the depth holes prior to the draft. The example
Mhm.
was trading for Zane Gonzalez, before they had a kicker. They go into the draft, they take Jake Moody. Similar thing. They're going to go into this draft with a tight end two or a presumed to be tight end two, probably a veteran tight end. So it'll be interesting to see who that player is going to be because I think the 49ers have to pivot. I think, Brock Wright, that was a phenomenal replacement for Charlie Warner
Yeah,
because I will bang the table and say Charlie Warner was a huge piece to this offense, all things considered, having 11 receptions
just don't throw him
over
the ball.
4 seasons.
Just don't
He
throw him
was
the ball.
exactly. He was as big of an impact you can get from a guy who never caught the ball. However, Brock Wright on the opposite side of things had 7 touchdowns in 3
Yeah,
seasons.
he can catch.
So he can catch and he can block.
Yeah.
So I do think the 49ers are going to still be in the business of getting a tight end too, because I really do think there are some questions about Latu. This is a huge training camp for Cameron Latu. Like
Oh yeah,
this
he's on
is
notice now.
yeah. Are you going to make the roster training camp
Yeah,
type of situation for him? So
yeah.
it'll be very interesting to see how that all plays out. But could be again. It's why I was taking 2 tight ends and almost my first 2 mock drafts. I think I took 2 tight ends for that simple reason is if they don't get a veteran, we just don't know what they have now. So we're going to keep adding and stockpiling, and like you say, Jason, the cream will rise to the top, and we'll go from there. Any last thoughts on the Brock Wright situation, Cameron Latu, all that good stuff?
No, and this isn't something that 49 fans should be upset about. I think it speaks to the Lions saying, "Hey, he's a pretty impact player. We're not gonna let him walk." So yeah, it is what it is. But I think the thing that you should take away is 2 picks last draft on tight ends. Neither of them feel like guys that are locks to make this roster, especially someone that you took, when you did with Cam Latu and Braden Willis, who actually did see the field for a little bit. But this is why I keep saying this draft right now is the most important draft in the Kyle Lynch regime in their time, because the last 2 drafts have not given you guys that are. Danny Gray doesn't play. Cam Latu doesn't play. Um, one of the
TDP.
picks, yeah, TDP gone. One of the picks was a kicker, for God's sakes. Now you find yourself in a spot where these 11 picks become critical because you've got to walk away with 2 and 3 guys. Think about this. Think about this. Obviously, the Texans had higher picks, but the C.J. Stroud, Anderson, Tank Dell, those are 3 hits in your first draft, and then you can go get Daniil Hunter, Joe Mixon, Stefon Diggs, and add to all of those things, but you got to hit on players. And that's the problem, is that you've kind of been sitting there saying, well, this guy needs another year. Well, next year he'll take. And now you've got a bunch of guys who have either redshirted, either not had any impact, or just straight up not played. And now this draft becomes so important because you have to get guys, especially with the way that Eric Armstead's not here anymore. You've got to make tough decisions. You've got to find a way to bring Brandon Aiyuk back. Other guys are going to want deals. Drake Greenlaw is going to be up next. What do you do? The only way to keep your high-end talent around is by getting cheap impact players. And
Mhm.
that's what this draft is important for, because that's going to dictate how this goes. And then you don't have this level of drop off where you see a mass exodus of high end players that the 49ers have.
Absolutely. This is huge, man. They really need to land on guys who can absolutely contribute in year one. I mean, the way George Kittle contributed in year one, the way Dre Greenlaw contributed in year one. There's like I think even Emmanuel Mosley contributed in year one as an undrafted free agent. He was starting by the end of the year. You need to hit on some of those undrafted, late round, early round. They need to find that again. They hit on Purdy. Purdy's Mr. Irrelevant. We know the
and
story.
and Purdy's gonna get paid.
And Purdy probably arguably saved this franchise,
Yeah,
arguably saved this regime. Like if the 49ers crash and burn because they put their eggs into the Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo basket without Purdy, bro, we got people trying to fire this regime after
with
going to
Purdy,
overtime into the Super Bowl
with Purdy.
and losing to the juggernaut that is the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Like it happens. But imagine if they flamed out because Trey Lance didn't pan out. We know what happened with Jimmy G. Brock didn't exist. The butterfly effect of that last pick and that impact is huge on this franchise. So to your point, this draft is huge because they will be paying that quarterback next year from all the things that we have seen, all the ways they're already talking about it. So you have to get cost controlled, right? That's the balance in this NFL. You have your window that's about that big of when you have a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal who can start for you. You build as much around them as possible. And then when it's time to pay that quarterback, you have to shift. You have to start getting like very creative with
Yeah,
how you build out your roster.
consider this: Brock Purdy made close to $800,000 in guaranteed. Alexa, we're talking Brock Purdy.
Alexa,
Uh,
sit.
Alexa, turn off. All right. Brock Purdy made close to $800,000. Didn't even count to the top 53 on the cap hits. He performed so well that he doubled his salary in performance pay bonuses. You are talking about a quarterback that costs you nothing, that is performing in the top 10, and he is cheap. The window to win while Brock Purdy is your quarterback is paramount. That's the window
Absolutely.
while he's cheap because Brock Purdy's going to want to get the going rate. You know, we found out that Dak
Hopefully
Prescott's going to
so.
play this. Dak Prescott's going to play this entire season apparently, and the Dallas Cowboys are out of their mind for, hey, we're not going to pay him at all. Cool. Can't wait for Cooper Rush to start next year for you, pal. Like
Hey,
it's
Trey
just
Lance, but Trey Lance,
hey,
pal.
here it is, Trey. I mean, here it is, Trey. It's right in front of you. But how could Brock Purdy not look at whatever Dak Prescott gets on the open market and say, well, I have the same numbers. I've actually been to a Super Bowl. I've won an NFC conference championship. I want that. And why wouldn't he?
Of
So the
course.
window, when we talk about the Super Bowl window, we don't talk about the Super Bowl window being closed or closing. We're talking about the window to win while Brock Purdy is cheap.
Yeah.
That's something that that's exactly what the Houston Texans are chasing right now. CJ Stroud's good. He's cheap. Okay, Daniil Hunter. Okay, Stefon Diggs. Okay, Aziz Al-Shaair. Okay, Joe Mixon. Okay, Tunsil. Now let's go. They are stacked. Houston is stacked.
And they
You know
have
why they're
great
stacked?
coaching. They got great
And they're
coaching.
stacked because have a young quarterback who is very good and they don't have to pay him. That's why you go all in right away. Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl because he was cheap and they were allowed to keep all those guys around. But when you have to pay him, you have to make those decisions. And they didn't win after he won. He won his contract battle, whatever it was. That's the part.
Yeah.
It's not the window's not closing. The window to win while Brock Purdy is cheap is closing. And that's what makes this offseason so critical.
Absolutely. It's a balancing act. And if there's anything we've seen, Eric Armstead is kind of what's the word? A prelude
That's
to
like your
like
that's your preemptive like understanding this is what it's going to look like.
yeah,
Impact players are going to go.
yeah. It's I would say this is going to be definitively the last year that we have with the core. We don't know what moves are going to be made with the core once Brock gets paid. But hey, man, they don't have unlimited funny money as much as we like to believe.
Mhm.
Even though on one hand they do, on the other hand they don't. We understand that they're doing very well for themselves, but at a certain point there are rules and stipulations that they have to follow in all this roster building fun stuff.
I think, we got a bump in the salary cap because of Taylor Swift. And as much as people don't like that,
You
or whatever,
you do you think
I
that's true?
100%, 100%.
You
So here's
think
my
that her fans drove that much revenue to the NFL
yes,
through
yes,
viewership and stuff like
yes,
that?
yes.
I never thought about it that way.
Now, if I was elected commissioner, what I would do is we're gonna get Beyonce to divorce Jay-Z and go and date a football player. The same thing with Ariana Grande. We're gonna bring in every single pop star to
Or Ariana
increase the cap,
Grande.
increase the cap more and more and more, so the 49ers could sign everyone. And then we could just, we can do what everybody on the 49ers Twitter does, right? A player gets released and he's gonna be owed a bunch of money. He's such a Niner. We can start doing that. Like we can start getting there. It's a
Let's
radical
get
plan. It's a radical plan, but if elected commissioner, not only will I bring back the hip drop tackle, I will abolish kickers and make everyone go for two on every single play.
okay. Well,
Jason
you got my
Aponte,
you got my
2025.
vote. You got my vote. I'm gonna campaign for Ice Spice and Daniel Jones. Let's see that. Let's see that
Ice
take down the
Spice
league.
and Daniel Jones is the most crazy celebrity couple. I don't know if he can handle a girl from the Bronx. I mean, he looks like a substitute teacher.
Oh no, you see it in the eyes. Like I don't think he could. I don't think he could.
I mean, once he says one time, "Are you dumb?" He's gonna be like, "I'm not dumb." It's not that she's not calling you dumb. It's a Bronx thing.
Oh, I
Ice
needed
Spice and
that. That
Daniel
was
Jones
funny.
is crazy, Brad Graham. This show is off
That's
the rails,
crazy. It's
completely off the
crazy.
rails.
It's off the rails. Absolutely, and I'm here for it. Actually,
Dolly Parton and
so
Josh Allen is insane from Justin.
oh my gosh. All right. So to try to get this thing back on track, the
Yeah.
49ers did make a roster move today,
Mhm,
and they signed a running back.
mhm.
Patrick Taylor's been in the league for 3 years from the Green Bay Packers. We talked about this offline, so I'll give you the floor, and then I'll kind of react on top of what you got to say.
Yeah, I mean, he never really had many snaps in Green Bay, at all. And this season, what he was primarily used was on passing downs. So he had 177 passing snaps, 130 snaps where he ran a route, which only turned into 11 receptions and 17 targets, 32 carries for 141 yards. That's 4.4 for the people who love math at home, and 4 explosive runs for 10 plus. But him being in on passing downs shows you two things. One, he's capable as a pass catcher, but pass blocking is, I think, what he'll be in there for on those passing downs to get in there and possibly keep Christian McCaffrey on the field, not force him to pass block. Patrick Taylor has a chance to really be a guy who is someone who is unsung, but is a very good pass blocker used on passing downs. I think that's what they're going for when they actually signed him. It's not anything more than that, in my opinion.
I think it's multiple things. They had
Special teams
currently
too.
3 running backs on the roster, and
Yes.
they carry 4 typically on the active. So they're already, again, same concept applies with the tight end too. They need depth. They need to fill some holes because also I think they're going to potentially draft another running back. So I think we have to be prepared for that because staying cost controlled though, I mean Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason could be free agents next year
So
or will be.
so something that obviously Anthony Lynn's not here anymore, right? But Anthony
Yeah.
Lynn, before they got rid of Trey Sermon, spoke about every person that steps on the field as a running back has to have the same sort of capabilities as Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, not to the degree of Christian McCaffrey, because it keeps offenses on their toes and it keeps Kyle in his bag in terms of being able to call things. And
Right,
I
you
think
get a
there's
little
still
bit one-dimensional when
right.
you
Like
have
if Jordan Mason's on the field, you know they're not going to throw the ball to him. they're not going to throw the ball to him. Like, so that's completely out. Now the defense can wipe away one thing. I think while this doesn't look like the flashiest move, while it doesn't even look like a move where he possibly couldn't even make this team. Like, I could see, like, there's definitely a world where Patrick Taylor, like, doesn't make this team. Like, this isn't going to knock your socks off. But I'm trying to see the vision of what they were looking at, and I think it's all on passing downs, whether it's pass blocking or catching passes. So I think that's what Patrick Taylor is, and special teams. So much of these new special teams rules are forcing teams to scramble a little bit more in terms of how they build their special teams units, what exactly, what personnel you're going to use, because teams can't run until the ball is caught. So you need guys that can tackle, and obviously the special teams unit has been much maligned. So I think there's a little bit of that as well too in it. So for me, it's just I'm trying to just break down this move in terms of what he brings to the team, but it doesn't. This isn't a knock your socks off move, or even somebody that possibly could make the 53. I mean, he can. I wouldn't be shocked if Patrick Taylor doesn't make the 53, and that's okay too.
Absolutely. And, I have weird knowledge of the Green Bay Packers running back room just because of my involvement in Dynasty and my Aaron
Aaron
Jones
Jones stunks.
shares. I mean, I traded him last year, but
Smooth
if you
move.
owned if you owned Aaron Jones or you owned Dylan, you just have to know who the third, fourth, and fifth guys are because they are in and out of the roster constantly. So it was like Emmanuel Wilson, it was Patrick Taylor. Did you get the dub?
The New York Yankees are 6-1. Best team in
Congratulations.
baseball. Baseball is officially a sport again.
Congratulations. At least someone's winning in this group. But Patrick Taylor, out of those obscure running backs, he was a guy who actually stood out to me from a talent perspective. He didn't get a lot of run. You already outlined that. But when he did get some opportunities, Patrick Taylor did show something. And the fact that he's 6'3", I didn't think he would. I didn't even know he was 6'3". He looked like a
Tallest running back, tallest running back in the Shanahan era, and attention span. If you like the Boston Red Sox, I just want to say I'm sorry. Don't blame me. Don't get mad at us. It's okay. There's always next year. There's always next year for the Boston Red
You
Sox.
you got one. You got one support in the chat.
Oh, Ariel knows the vibes because he's from up top. Ariel knows the vibes.
Absolutely.
Home opener on Friday. Juan Soto's here. We lit. Baseball's a sport again. Baseball is officially a sport again, and I couldn't be happier. Could not be happier.
Oh gosh. Anyways,
Anyway,
Patrick
God, this
Taylor.
show is off the rails.
It is. It's fine.
And
I'm
absolutely all
perfectly
love
fine. I'm
attention span. I
perfectly
get
fine
it.
with it.
I get it, man.
But Patrick Taylor, he could be an option. He could not be an option.
Right.
So, anyways,
That's all. Like, when I looked into him, he's just a pass catcher. He's a good pass blocker. Could be possibly somebody that's in there and will make will make their protections a little bit better. Just giving Brock a little bit of extra time. He knows how to win. Knows the system. Obviously, with LaFleur, it's not something that, again, it's not gonna knock your socks off. But it's
but you need good
100%.
depth.
Yeah, and absolutely. And again, it's not going to stop the 49ers from drafting someone. I think that's the best part. Like, that's the best part. The only reaction that I kept seeing was, well, this might put the 49ers away from a third round running back.
No,
Well, I want you to have a
second
seat
round running back confirmed.
Right. I want you to have a seat and let's have a discussion. Blake Corum's on the way, pal. Like, the only way to
totally see that.
The only way that I see Blake Corum not being a 49er is if Jim is like, we're getting the band back together from Michigan, and we're gonna make sure that we get him in here. So yeah, I mean, look, it's a slow time right now in the offseason. We have to obviously talk about the things that are happening, and that's what Patrick Taylor brings. He's a pass catcher, pass blocker. That's what I found.
In the interest of being off the rails, this topic is probably a year or two too early, but I do think it is important when building a roster to keep an eye out for incoming contract extensions and deals that have to happen. Just like we talked about with Brock Purdy, Brandon Aiyuk is expected to get paid. Christian McCaffrey deserves a raise. Christian McCaffrey deserves a contract extension. And if he puts up another, he just won Offensive Player of the Year last year as a running back in today's NFL. His clock is ticking, and he's no dummy. He understands he's outperforming his current deal. So what does that mean? I think that's an important aspect of this when looking at some of these running backs in the upcoming draft is like the 49ers got to keep one eye on life after CMC. I know no 49er fan wants to think about that or even fathom life without CMC, but there was a life before he showed up and there will be a life after, and you have to keep in mind that CMC deserves to get paid too, whether
Yes.
with the 49ers or not with the 49ers. So that's just another thing that you have to keep in mind.
Well, let's take it a step further. Charvarius Ward is going to want to get paid.
Diamador Lenore,
I mean, Diamond
Talanoa
Dolan is another one.
Hufanga.
Yeah, like you have to. This is what we're talking about. The the draft picks being like, oh, next year, guys, oh, we already have a guy, have now put the 49ers in a spot where you need impact players now because
Yeah,
of how far you've kicked it down the road, right?
yeah, they do.
Danny Gray, Danny Gray's on the clock. I mean, he's either just been injured or just not been effective. I think his only highlight is a preseason touchdown catch thrown by Trey Lance.
That was a phenomenal play, though.
Yeah,
I do appreciate that highlight. It made me
R-
believe.
Ronnie Bell is going to find himself as a core special teamer soon. Um, it's hard right now. You know, when you're looking at this team and everybody wants to get what they deserve. Charvarius Ward, all pro, he's going to want money as well too. And there's hard decisions. So I spoke to Mike Tannenbaum of ESPN, and I think the greatest quote that he gave me when talking about Brandon Aiyuk was John and Kyle have to figure out what's the difference between a nice to have player and a have to have player. And some guys graduate from nice to have or from have to have and to nice to have. He meant that about Tyreek Hill. Like the Kansas City Chiefs would love to have Tyreek Hill. It's nice to have, but you don't have to have him because he's going to want this amount of money.
And you
And
have a franchise quarterback in Patrick
right,
Mahomes who can
and
mitigate those issues.
they've completely transformed their offense. They're no more they're not as explosive as they were, right? Like all those things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But everything has to be broken down to have, nice to have, right? It'd be cool to keep them. Do we need to keep them? And that's the hard stuff. Like that's the part that I don't ever want to be involved in when it comes to being a front office guy.
Yeah,
About, hey, I don't want to pay this guy. I think we should pay this guy. And they're both very good football players who deserve to get paid.
yeah,
It's not easy. And this is the cost of doing business when you have this many good players.
yeah,
And that's the hard part. And this is going to be the part where people are just they're not going to be happy, and it's very hard because all these guys are important. All these guys are the reason that the 49ers are at the top of the league and have the best roster, right? But all of them are allowed to be here because Brock is so cheap. Starting quarterback, you're getting top 10 quarterback play for pennies on a dollar. And sorry, I'm not taking the Yankee hat off. 6-1, cry about it. Best team in baseball, pal.
Oh, that's funny. Um, no, it's it's. Would you say, Jason, that there's been a lot of talk about the window? How long is the window open? I think the window is when we think of the core, it's tied to Brock Purdy's deal, right? That's just a simplified way of saying
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Is that obviously the cap's going to go up, but so is the price of quarterback play. Yesterday's price is not today's price. So Kirk Cousins getting 45 million today will probably look like a bargain in a year or two. Just like Jimmy Garoppolo getting 27, being the highest paid player in all of football,
Where are
looks
you getting a starting quarterback? The only starting quarterback that's getting less than him is like Sam Darnold, who's getting 10.
right because it's he's unproven,
Right.
right?
And you'll take $10 million as Sam Darnold, right? But I think when Jimmy Garoppolo was signed, he was signed with the idea of being a actual starting quarterback, going forward, and that's the cost of doing business. That is the cost of doing business. And every time someone signs, the next person breaks it,
Yep.
right? This is why the wide receiver market, when you see Calvin Ridley getting what he gets, and this is a perfect segue right here. The
It
wide
is.
receiver market,
Great
the
segue.
wide receiver market that you see a guy getting money. When you see the Cleveland Browns signing
Jerry
uh
Judy?
Jerry Judy to that amount of
Get out
money,
of here, pal.
he's he's got like 62 more catches than me in his
Oh my
entire career.
gosh, dude. He's making
Brandon
more
Ay-
money than Brandon Aiyuk right now. It's criminal.
Brandon
Criminal.
Ayuk should Brandon Ayuk should look at that and just walk into the negotiating table with his contract and just put it in the face and just say, "Are you kidding me? Thanks again, Cleveland Browns. You really know how to set the market. You ruined it all with Deshaun Watson. You ruined it all with Jerry Judy. But
Cleveland.
that's the cost of doing business. If I'm Brandon Ayuk, I look at Jerry Judy and say, I had more catches this season than you've had in your whole career, and they don't even throw me the ball. I
Jason,
don't understand.
can I lay something else on you that I've been thinking about for a while now?
Yeah.
That will have an impact and could have a massive impact on Brandon Ayuk. Jerry Judy, or excuse me, not Jerry Judy,
Justin
CeeDee
Jefferson.
Lamb and Justin Jefferson have not signed contract extensions. And if the San Francisco 49ers wait until those guys sign, those guys don't have to wait on Brandon Aiyuk. They are going to get paid more than Brandon Aiyuk just because of, first of all, Justin Jefferson's considered the best wide receiver in the league, right?
Yeah. In
And
some
then you
circles,
look at CeeDee Lamb,
he just came
arguably,
off of a crazy season where he just had
the production is through the roof, right? And that's not a
and
knock
T
on
Higgins is
BA,
franchised.
right? And that's not a knock on BA because if you put BA with Dak, I bet BA's putting up the same numbers that CD's putting up.
Yeah.
He's just in a different situation. So, but based on the numbers, based on how we know how ball works, if the 49ers wait and we get that dun-na-na breaking news, Justin Jefferson signs a record breaking deal. Where how much do let me spitball this at you because
Go ahead.
again, it's pertinent because Stefon Diggs got traded today to the Texans, all that different types of things, and the impact that it has on Brandon Aiyuk. It's not just Stefon Diggs though. What do you think that the APY is going to look like for Justin Jefferson when he signs that deal?
Justin Jefferson's going to want to be paid as the highest paid receiver who's ever lived.
He's getting quarterback money.
Yeah. And no one has had a better start to their career, essentially, than like Justin Jefferson. Like his numbers are insane. And he absolutely deserves it. Now, my question is, and I want to keep it light because I don't want to be all doom and gloom. Is Justin Jefferson rushing to sign a deal with the Minnesota Vikings, knowing Sam Darnold's the quarterback, and then they have to draft another guy the next year, and he has no idea what the quarterback play? Because I want to throw this out there. Kirk Cousins helps get Justin Jefferson the football in a way that I think he's very much used to. And this season, he's going to find out very fast that that's probably not going to happen the same way.
Absolutely.
So I think, again, with this Brandon Aiyuk thing, I think it gets done the same way all of these other deals get done with Nick Bosa and, and Fred Warner and all these guys who head into camp either holding out or being there, and you get it done. I think what we're missing and what we're forgetting is January 2nd, a bunch of money comes available because Eric Armstead's cut becomes official.
Yeah.
And that is right before camp starts. So as usual, we're going to have April, May, and, and not June, April and May of, oh my God, Brandon Aiyuk stripped all his 49er stuff from his Instagram.
We just got to
oh my
get through
God.
the draft. We just got to get through the draft.
Right.
That's it.
Right. It's going to be, oh my God, Brandon Aiyuk stripped all his 49er stuff off his Instagram. Oh my God, Brandon Aiyuk's tweeting cryptic things. Oh my God, Brandon Aiyuk went on this show and said this, and this. Oh my God, the NFL draft. And then when he doesn't get traded during the NFL draft, it's done. It's done. There's nothing you can do after that. You either move him for a high pick now, or you do what the 49ers have usually been doing, which is right before camp or even during camp, whether the numbers don't reach out. But when you get that extra money from Eric Armstead, not only do you get it done, you can save yourself $7 million in cap this season with a move of an extension. So again, it's like it's hard. It's hard to sit here and be worried. It's hard to sit here and act like he's going somewhere. I don't think he is. But the annual Instagram cleansing and going on this show and he said this and his family is tweeting this and I don't care because none of that stuff is going to matter with the way that the 49ers have done business. I don't care how far apart they are today on April 3rd. Once this money comes across and it comes back, it'll be done. And that's it. I think the crux of this argument for Brandon Aiyuk is this, Brad. I think he wants more targets. And I think that's absolutely fair. But you would be asking Kyle Shanahan to change the run first attitude, all the things that they do that have made them successful, all the things that they're able to set up off the run. But I absolutely think that if
I don't mind
Brandon
an
Aiyuk,
upgrade, if I might just interject. I don't mind a little tweak to the offense.
even 15 to 20 targets with how efficient Brock Purdy and Brandon Aiyuk have been will exponentially grow his numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, him having what 77 catches and over 1,000-something yards, that's insane.
Who's tied for 31st in the league in receptions, but 7th in yards.
That's insane.
Yeah,
right?
You don't see that.
So I think the crux of this argument is obviously one, money, but two, Brandon Aiyuk wants to see the ball. And that's why I can't.
He deserves the ball too.
Yeah, and this goes to the Stefon Diggs thing where this is why I feel more confident today following the Stefon Diggs deal that Brandon Aiyuk's not going anywhere.
Because of the compensation given up?
Second round pick for a guy who I think the world of. Stefon Diggs is one of my favorite receivers, and the way that he gets open and does whatever he does. He had a down year, and typically at 31 is when you start to see a decline. But that would mean that the 49ers would need to be blown away with a high number one pick. And the only way that I would move Brandon Aiyuk is if you get a high number one pick, I'm not talking about 22, 23. I'm talking about high, like in the 15s.
Oh, without question. You need a blue chip.
Right.
You're trading a blue chip, you need a blue chip back.
So that has to happen.
It's a non-starter.
That has to happen, and the 49ers have to hold on to 31.
100%.
No pick swap. No pick swap.
What did Eagles got first and a third for what's his name? AJ Brown.
Yeah. So no pick swap. Give me your high pick. Your high pick is Brandon Aiyuk. That's your selection in the draft, which I think is a pretty good draft pick if it turns out, right? Like the way that you think it is. And we keep 31. So you can get your high-end tackle, the guys that you really, really are looking at that are like these can't-miss tackles that we feel are out of the range. And then you stay at 31 and you draft Ladd McConkey. And boom. And boom. We just fixed the 49ers. We just fixed the 49ers.
49ers cap problems. Boom.
So I think that's the only way that I would move him. But again, I think my overall thing is he's not going anywhere. And I think this gets done way closer to camp, as it usually does with all these guys.
The hard part about requiring a top 15, potentially top 10 pick is the quarterback class. We might be looking at a potential another like 4 quarterback. We might be looking at like 3 quarterbacks for sure back to back to back. We could be looking at 4 in a row. And as a result of that, that just pushes talent down. So that pushes Marvin Harrison, that pushes Odunze, that pushes Neighbors down. That doesn't help the conversation of trading Brandon Aiyuk to try to acquire a pick that is worth the value. Brandon Aiyuk, to me, isn't even worth just a straight up, like, I know a lot of people, like, let's say you offered the 10th overall pick, 11th overall pick for Brandon Aiyuk. Oh, yeah, I'll take it in a heartbeat. I would still have hesitation. I would definitely consider, but for me, it's like, I don't feel like I'm winning that deal. I feel like with where the 49ers are at, with trying to win with this group, win now, get back to the Super Bowl, cross the finish line, you need BA on this roster. Now, and that's the hard part of this. We're balancing long-term sustainability with win now. And that's been the tightrope that the 49ers have been trying to balance now
Yeah.
for the last couple years. And so that's the part of the problem. It's like if you're not going to get like a top 10 pick where you could swap Aiyuk for neighbors or something like that, or a Dunze, right? Then like yes, you could get a elite left tackle, but what you laid it out,
Uh,
Lad McConkey at 31. Then
yeah.
there's going to be other options that you could
Yeah.
take, and it's like what was Justin Jefferson pick like 18, 19, or was
18.
even in the
Remember,
20s?
Justin Jefferson was nothing more than a slot receiver, also, by the way, which is
Oh, dude,
funny because of how the draft process is,
that's
and that's kind
another
of where.
freaking battle that I fucking
Yeah.
excuse my language.
Oh, he's riled up. Let's go. All I had to do is mention. All I had to do is mention horrible draft evaluations, and it got Brad riled up. Man, oh, I'm
You
gonna
want
do
to
this
know
more
something
often.
that I've noticed? It's like I get triggered and upset and like hyped up over draft stuff. I've
Yeah,
realized that about myself
yeah,
this year. Like I've
yeah,
known it's happened in the past, but I'm like, I made the connection like, oh, when I talk about Trent Baalke, I get heated because of how he handled the draft. When I get triggered, it's because people tell me this guy is this because of short arms, Jason.
Well, Brad Graham, and I think I'm gonna take over the show now, and I'm the host. Brad Graham, I recently did a mock, but I wanted to get your thoughts on Jordan Morgan, offensive tackle from Arizona. I wanted to get your thoughts because his arms are so short, they're T Rex arms. He literally will not be able to succeed at all in this league. He needs to be taken off of everyone's draft board because he has short arms, Brad Graham. I need you to react.
Listen, pal, like you either can play or you can't. It's as simple as that. And so far from what I've seen, we saw like again, I turn on and it might be just because it was the first tape that I watched, but the first tape that I watched of Jordan Morgan was going up against Latu, Liatu Latu, right? The top, some consider him the best edge rusher in this class. I think Jared Verse is gaining some steam on him. He owned that dude, man. Like, and those T-Rex arms had nothing to do with that. Like, he did it with the T-Rex arms. So my biggest thing is this: like, you can either play or you can't. Like, same thing happened with Aaron Donald. Same thing happened with Keenan Allen. Same thing happened with. You can go down the freaking list of
Yeah,
guys who shouldn't be what they are
yeah,
because people paid attention to measurables over
yep,
actually just paying attention to the tape and watching what they can do on a football field and how they can improve, win their way, use technique to counteract the height, weight, speed that everyone is obsessing over when understanding that this is a technical man's sport.
oh
This
yeah,
is a smart man's sport. I can see big doofus over here who can jump out of the gym, towers over me. But if he doesn't know A plus B equals whatever, I don't even care, man. Like,
yeah. Oh, you just got muted. Keep going. Keep cooking.
look, StreamYard doesn't even want me to cook.
I think your headphones are on now, unfortunately. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to wait because I want you to keep cooking. There you go.
But ultimately, what it comes down to is like, that's why the whole notion of every prospect is fit into my puzzle piece is to me how GMs get fired,
Oh,
how
yeah.
evaluators get fired, or it's how evaluators keep their jobs
Uh-huh.
because they say, oh, well, listen, look at these measurables, look at how it's translated over these years throughout these prospects and the success rate and the hit rates. But that's how you miss out on Aaron Donald. That's how Aaron Donald goes 13 overall. Aaron Donald didn't go 13 overall because he lacked elite talent. He
Yeah.
went 13 overall because people bought the hype that a 6'1, 285-pound defensive tackle couldn't have success
Oh,
in
yeah.
the NFL. And that's why I say, oh shit. Like I don't
Woo!
care.
That's
I
2.
I don't care.
All
I
right.
don't care. I get it. I get it. People have their ways of evaluating. I
Yep.
respect it. I That's fine. You're
Right.
allowed to have your opinion and your thought processes and your logic, but I have mine. And that's where I stand. I don't use those things as a crutch. I understand why people use them, but for me, every individual prospect is their own prospect. Evaluate them in their own lens,
Hmm.
not through the lens of some other prospect or who they should be like this guy. That's not how it works. Every guy's an individual, and people need to understand that about these prospects.
Brad, this is going to be a stern talking to for the draft crowd because no player is perfect. Every player has weaknesses or things that they should be working on. But when a weakness becomes the single reason that you are out on a player without acknowledging the things that they do well, it's when you start to lose me. I don't think the 49ers should have selected Jerry Rice. He doesn't have any straight line speed. I
you
don't
would have
think
got
I don't
you would have got cooked by draft Twitter.
I don't think I don't think the Indianapolis coach should have selected Dwight Freeney. He's too little. He'll never be able to succeed in this league.
Hey, Brian
I
Burns
don't
is too skinny.
I don't we can go down the list. When a weakness becomes the reason that you take someone off your draft board as opposed to saying this is what he needs to work on and thinks this is what he is good at, it's crazy to me. And the expectations. So let's do this.
I don't know. This kind of fire. I
Yeah.
kind I kind of like it.
This is the thing. So when Mike McGlinchey was drafted number 9, right? Let's
Yeah.
take it back to good old Mike.
Yep.
The best way I can say what Mike McGlinchey was he was a starter in the NFL, which is hard. Being one of 5 guys that'll start, he's a starter. But when you're taking number 9, you're not trying to get a starter. Like number 9 offensive tackle has to be
You're looking
lifetime
for
40.
borderline Hall of Famer.
Yeah, lifetime 49er.
Yeah.
Lifetime 49er. Jordan Morgan absolutely has a chance to be someone who is a starter, who is reliable, who will play, possibly some people believe is a guard. But at pick 31, you feel far better about it.
Of course.
I guess what I'm trying to say is this. When you tell me Jordan Morgan's off my board because his arms are an inch shorter, half an inch shorter than the prototypical guy. When there's no, so just because his arms are that short, he has no chance, Brad Graham, of ever succeeding in this league. Ever. Show it. You got a tape measure? Show it. There you go. And honestly, I think we know. Never mind. I'm not even going to make that joke.
Yes,
But
we've been a little off the
we've
rails.
been a little off the rails, yeah, but we're not going to make
Good
that
job
joke.
not making that joke. Good job.
We're literally not going to make that joke.
But the point is, we have people huffing and puffing
About that.
about that.
Yeah.
Or maybe this. Or maybe that.
Yeah. And it gets lost that with technique, with players around you, with this shocking word that I'm going to use, Brad Graham, called development.
Ooh.
All those things can be something that is a weakness, but not something that is a fatal flaw.
Correct.
Also, I despise buzzwords. Short arms, shuttle speed, cone. What do you really think that any of that stuff means?
Cone.
Shuttle speed. I don't know. Stop. We're overthinking it. You're overthinking it. And it's really eye-opening to see people say that because his arms are this short or this and this and this, It's like, come on, man. Are we serious? Jordan Morgan at 31 shouldn't make anyone upset. And we'll talk about it this way. It is a game of inches. This is good.
It
See,
is.
our crowd is very smart. Yeah, this
They
is
are.
good. They're
They
getting
are.
it. But
It is a game of inches for sure.
but but
But all things are relative, right?
right, and the things that were spoken about were he's a right tackle. He could potentially flip over to left tackle. Possibly could be a guard. Now, is that a bad thing, Brad Graham, that he can play one, two, three positions possibly, and be in that like
I
I
think we were talking about this, and not to cut you off, but it's like for me, I've never once determined a tackle needing to kick inside based on arm length.
correct.
Not once. And I've had a pretty successful hit rate on determining that guy's a guard. That's a guard playing tackle in college. He needs to play guard. Or he can stay at tackle. For me, it is all technically driven. It's
Yeah,
based on feet, base, how you can manage on an island. That is how I determine if you can play tackle. If
yeah,
you can't kick step and you can't counteract inside moves, speed rushes, and bull rushes, then you can't play tackle. But that doesn't mean you can't play guard.
mhm,
That doesn't mean you can't just keep you don't have to kick step like that. You're not on an island. You're sliding protection. You're getting help. If a guy goes inside, you have a center there. If a guy goes outside, you could have potentially a running back help and pick up. Like that that's a different world. And I
and
don't ever use arm length to determine that unless you're literally a T-Rex. Like you
right. That's what I'm saying. Like you guys make it seem like he has baby arms. Well, not you guys. I mean, it's just the people that are just like I can't, with Jordan Morgan, and it's all relative to the edge rusher that's in front of you. If you're getting whipped by every single edge rusher in this league, then yeah, you don't deserve to be here. But
Yeah, I
if
would prefer you show me tape examples
right,
of where that issue
where right,
lies. If you
100%.
show me on tape and I'm like, "Oh, dude, I see it."
Oh
You're
damn,
right.
his arms
That
and he's
might
getting
be an
into him.
issue.
Right, like he's getting into him immediately, all those things. If you're getting whipped over and over and over, Jordan Morgan tore his ACL, came back, and he had two back-to-back very good seasons in college. And this is still a projection game, right? Like, and I think that's what everybody is literally talking about when they're saying, will it translate to the league? That's fine. But if you get beat by TJ Watt on a rep, I'm not gonna kill you. He's really good at football, Brad Graham. Sometimes guys are really good at football.
Just for sake of this conversation, because again,
Yeah.
I love it. Uh, Jordan Morgan's arms are listed at 32 and 7/8 inch.
Mm-hmm.
And the knock on him is his arm length,
Short
right?
arms. Mm-hmm.
Right.
T-Rex arms.
Another prospect who's touted for his physical traits and tools, which I totally agree with,
Yes.
his arm length is 34 and 1/4 inch.
We're literally talking
Not
about
even a half inch. Not even a half inch.
this is all right. So I love the people that are involved in draft Twitter and all those things because thank you guys because this is what we're literally using content for right now is a draft. But my God, the buzzwords kill me. Short arms, too small, shuttle speed. Remember, Brad. I wouldn't draft DK Metcalf. Did you see his shuttle and his cone? How could you draft a receiver like that? Like, are we serious? It's the buzzwords that kill me. And it's never a talk about this is something that could be an issue as opposed to get him off my draft board. Draft Twitter is absolutely it's a
Hey,
hellscape sometimes. It's a hellscape sometimes. It really is, man. It really, really is. It really is.
like again, for example, Fuaga, who's
Yep.
considered to be by far a
Yep.
like by most top
I think I
15
I think
block.
I had him going to the Raiders at like whatever pick they had. I think that's where he ends up going.
33 and 1/8 inch arms.
He's got such long arms.
Not
He's got such long
one
arms, Brad.
not one mention
Look,
of his arm length.
he's got Jason Aponte arms. He's got Stretch Armstrong arms. It's literally it's insane, Brad.
Not
It's
one
insane.
mention.
It's insane.
His arm length.
So there's never any discussion of how smart Morgan is, how he knows how to, my issues with him were less about arm length and more about in contact. Is your base good? And sometimes I could see that becoming more of an issue than the arm length.
Yeah,
During
his
contact,
base isn't elite
and
at
his
all.
balance at times. These are the things that I didn't look at anything that Jordan Morgan did before I wrote up his profile. I didn't look at anything that he did and said, "Man, this is all arm length." Like, this is all because his arms are as long as Averly's. Like, I didn't see anything like that. What I saw were weaknesses because no player is perfect, but it was during contact, balance, all those things. It wasn't, oh my God, his hands are here and he can't. Sometimes his hands get too high. That's an issue. I literally look at those things and I'm trying to be better with offensive line. I'm using buzzwords right now to impress Brad Graham, but I saw
It's
his
working.
hands being too high a little bit. Like, they're just a little too high. Get lower. What do they tell you, Brad, when you're blocking? Get in here. Get in here in the middle. Get in here. Get lower. Sometimes they're at the pads. That's when you get called for holding. That's what I saw. Those are things I saw.
So a functional example of how to create space with technique. Do you remember, man, it's a couple years ago now, but the double pass set with Trent Williams? Like, I had that like epiphany. I'm like, bro, Trent Williams is baiting defensive ends with a double pass set move. He's basically setting a vertical set. And then when the defensive ends were going to create contact, he would then redirect his pass set and drop his back foot, which would create space and a leverage issue with the defensive ends. You can create the space you need by by using your feet. If anything, to me, the most important thing for an offensive lineman is your feet, is your base, is your balance. There's not many opportunities where you want to be an offensive lineman and your arms are completely locked out. You want to stay kind of like at that 90. If you're locked out, that's how you get chopped. That's how guys rip, swim. You don't have leverage locked out like this. You want to stay inside. Now, you can make the counter argument that long arms makes that more challenging. But if you're strong enough and powerful enough and have a good enough base and you can keep that leverage, you can keep your arms and your head and your back angle to eat up that quarter of an inch, that eighth of an inch that maybe X prospect has that you don't. That isn't enough. If he had below 30, that like literal T-Rex arms,
Yeah,
I think there's absolutely an argument. Or else
that's Averly
i-
arms.
if it doesn't show up on tape where I can like it stands out like a sore thumb, to me that's something that he's obviously wins his way. We're obviously on a huge tangent on arm length, but this translates to all the measurable aspects of scouting, and that's
Yeah.
why people get too in the weeds with trying to discern, well, this guy's good on film, but he doesn't hit these marks
Yeah.
from a measurement standpoint. And then they're like, they start to sour. They start to be like, well, does he fit here? Does he go there? Again, you look at I think this all got sparked by Justin Jefferson being
Hmm.
pigeonholed as a slot wide receiver
We wanted
because
to talk about this though. We wanted to talk about the fact that like players have weaknesses and just people are just willing to just absolutely throw them off their board because of something that they don't do well. No player is perfect.
right.
Nope.
And Justin Jefferson played 90% of the snaps out of the slot. So people said, well, he can't play outside. He's not good
He's
enough.
just a slot receiver.
Right. And that's it. So again, nothing about scouting is a perfect science. It's in the eye of the beholder, right? Like, and for me, I just take everything that I've ever learned about playing and what I've learned since literally like trying to scout prospects since 2011.
Hmm.
And every year I learned something new and I add it to my bag of like, okay, I knocked Derwin James his versatility.
Hmm.
I didn't think teams would use him that way and that he wasn't a coverage safety guy. and that I felt like he needed to be used all over the field. And I knocked him for that. And guess what? The Chargers drafted him and they used him just like they did at Florida State. And I said, all right, well, I got to change the way I perceive certain guys just because they don't fit what I think. So it's the same thing. There could be a guy that comes along who has short arms and proves, like, oh, wow, I see that the short arms are an issue. I pride myself on my ability to scout offensive line. And you can call it ignorance, you can call it whatever. But since doing this for, feels like what, 15 years almost now, I've never looked at arm length and been like, oh, I'm out on this guy.
I'll
Because
read you
I just
exactly.
watched the tape. That's it.
Right. All right. This is perfect. I'm gonna read you what I wrote about Jordan Morgan, then I'm gonna talk about tape and what measurables and just going off measurables will do to you. And it's a perfect example because he's a San Francisco 49er. So with Jordan Morgan, I wrote his strengths are great explosion off the line, can change directions well, including laterally, executing combo blocks effectively, which is a fit for the 49ers. Combo block is literally one guy, then get to the second level. He has the athleticism to kick out and pull in outside zone, possible flexibility to start at right tackle and start at left tackle if need be. His weaknesses, arm length. Longer arm defensive ends will be able to get into Morgan's body at the point of attack. Balance is a concern, especially during contact. Morgan's base can be inconsistent and his hands can get too high at times. That's it. That's it. Right? Like, I'm not saying no way, you can't do this, anything like that. Those are the things I noticed. And the arm length thing is obviously something that is a talking point. But if we went just off measurables and we didn't watch tape, if we went just up off measurables and didn't watch tape, Brad Graham, what did Brandon Aiyuk run for his 40?
I don't.
Wasn't good.
Was he like a 4.5
Yeah.
guy?
Yeah, it wasn't good. And if anybody's just watching the measurables and they're looking and they say, oh man, Brandon Aiyuk ran a 40. I don't like that 40. That's really bad. But you didn't realize that he had a core muscle injury. And the first draft that I ever covered was that draft that he was drafted, in which it was Ruggs, Judy, CD, Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, Brandon Aiyuk. All these guys were drafted in the same draft class. There's an argument to be made, aside from one guy, might be the best draft class of wide receivers, or it's certainly up there.
Yeah,
certainly up there.
It's in consideration. If it gets more time, it could definitely be.
When you pop on the tape and you watch him, obviously the 40 speed was impacted by his core injury, but play speed and 40 speed, it was evident right off the rip. I mean, he's running go balls down the line and he's blowing past people. Play speed, 40 speed. That's why track stars aren't football players. You're not going to play that fast. Some guys play a little bit faster. And if you go off just measurables without watching everything and taking everything into consideration, you're doing it wrong. You're absolutely doing it wrong. This is why I don't have strong opinions on players that I haven't watched. Because I can look at the measurables and say, oh man, he ran that at the combine? I don't know. But I never watched the tape. And I don't mean broadcast angle. I mean the actual all 22. That's when you actually dive in and you figure out who guys are. And the way that you find out what a player is you don't find out where they are on the highlight plays. You find out where they are on the plays where they're not targeted, when things are going wrong. That's when you really figure out who a player is.
You got to stack consistency.
Right. Everybody loves the highlight tapes. There's a certain player that 49ers Twitter is completely enamored with. I'm not saying his name. And they're like pulling up his highlights. And I'm watching him and on everything else. And I'm like, that's a horrible route. That doesn't look good. This doesn't look good. But because he caught that one pass that you guys are showing, you're like, there he is. Exactly, Jeremy. Jerry Rice shouldn't have been drafted because he's very slow. Very slow. He'll never be able to succeed in the league. That's exactly what we're talking about right now. The draft discourse has pushed people to use buzzwords and take people off their boards and not even signify that it's just something that he can work on. And I think that there's ways to get around all that stuff, right? Jerry wasn't the fastest guy, but his routes were precise. He had a quarterback that could deliver the football to him too, as well, too. That kind of helps a little bit. But he's still a GOAT. There's guys that can run out of the building. There's guys that could jump out the building, don't end up being football players. You get enamored with the attributes, you get enamored with all that stuff, and you start to lose sight of what he can. And again, still, I don't know better than anybody. I don't think Brad is saying that either. But I think the evaluation process has turned from all things considered to, oh my God, he has short arms. I don't even want. No shot. He's going to be good. And that's the part that
That's
frustrates me more than anything.
that's the point. That's the entire point of me ranting and you ranting and going back and forth. It's just like, yes, yes, we understand there are positives and negatives to take away from the measurables, but the end all be all is, are they a good football player and can it project to the next level? And if it can project to the next level, you can likely hang your hat on that player will find success more often than not. It's the things you I key on technical issues way more than I do measurable issues because of all the points that we've made. You can overcome measurable issues with technique. Me, I started at one point playing college football at center at 250 pounds. Guess what everyone would probably say about me? Oh,
Too
I'm too
small.
light. Can't do it. Right? What are you doing playing center at 250 pounds? But I would then tell you my favorite archetype of defensive tackle to go against was 6'5", 320 because they're slower, which means I can win with speed, leverage, technique, and then I can overpower them. Speed to power, just like a defensive lineman does. If I can speed to power, a 320, 30-pound defensive tackle and just bow him over because he's not prepared for me to get into his pads as fast as I do, I can overcome them. I had trouble as a small guy with the smaller guys. Same reason why I didn't doubt what Aaron Donald could do because I'm like, listen, man, I played against some really talented defensive tackles in my time. Even if I didn't play a big end or high level college ball, these guys were high level players that could have played big time college ball. They just didn't do the right things off the field. And as a result of that, you learn like, oh, well, you don't look like a prototypical guy, but you're cooking every single one you go against for X, Y, and Z reasons. And so if you can identify the reasons why they're winning and translate that, can that translate? Will they be able to build and stack at the next level with more work, more technique, more tweaks? And add to your frame if you can, add muscle, add mass, add speed, you could get better. So the big part of this tangent is draft season is hilarious because everyone acts like they know when they don't know, which is that's the part. It's like it's objective. All of it's objective. My scouting is objective to me. I don't expect anyone to scout like me because no one's experienced what I've experienced. No one sees the game the way I see it. So I don't expect any single. That's why if someone disagrees with me, I'm like, that's
That's fine.
yeah, that's fine. And then I get your logic. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I can understand that.
Yeah.
But at the same, it's the people who just it. Nope, shorter. You're right.
Yeah.
No, too
Get
skinny.
him.
You'll never be good.
Get him off my board.
Get an Allen Rado 471. Get him out
Yeah.
of here.
Right. Like
XFL. Like,
it's a body of work. It's everything. It's a body of work, right? Everything that you feel about the attributes has to pop on tape. If you have concerns, everyone has concerns. Nobody's perfect. I can label concerns on almost every single draft prospect, every single one, all of them. They're concerns. Doesn't take them off my board. Like that's the thing. And there's an attribute that cannot be measured. Not by
I
not
don't know what
by
you're gonna say.
combine. Yeah, you know exactly where I'm going. Not by combine, not by cone, not by shuttle speed, not by arm length. It's that dog in him. You can't measure dog. There's no dog attribute. And that's
Dude,
the hard part.
something about you calling the three, because I know what you're referencing the three cone drill,
Yeah,
but you calling it
calling it
just
cone.
cone. You're just calling
Cone.
it cone.
No, people just say his cone was bad. I'm like, dude, like what? His shuttle speed's so bad. All right, so maybe we don't make DK Metcalf run in breaking routes. Maybe we just use his elite speed and his huge body and get him down the field. It's insane how over and over and over these little things have forced you to put people in boxes without acknowledging their strengths and their weaknesses and where they can get better.
Right.
And this draft process is the most fun because you go back and you look and you're like, damn, I hit on this player, I hit on this player, I hit on this player. But then you go back and you look and damn, I missed on this player. Like it didn't work out. Some of the best, measurable guys, attributes, they don't end up doing anything. And then you get guys like, Brock, last pick in the draft. Nobody wanted him. Hey, here we are now. He's about to be a 50M quarterback, not need a roommate no more. Like that type of stuff is like the stuff that is what makes the draft process so much fun.
One
Finding
of
an
the
all pro in the 5th or 6th round. Like
one of the
that's fun.
biggest like things that like felt almost like a phenomenon, like when I played with guys who look the part. They
Yeah.
look the part, they lifted the part, they were fast, they had all of the things until you put the pads on and they disappeared. And you're like, what the hell, man? Like,
Yeah.
you look like a certified D1 stud. Like, you look like you were built in a football lab. And then we put the pads on and you disappear.
Yeah.
So, again, it's a long conversation about scout each guy as an individual, watch the tape, cross reference against the measurables. It's always good to compare. We're always comparing. That's not something we're saying not to do, and just keep adding to your tool belt. That's really all it is just start building a baseline of how you understand ball, and then that's why we track in the NFL. We see the guys that have the success that we thought were, and then there's guys that, hey, I thought he was going to be dope and he sucked. And then you figure out why that happened. Was it? And I think another aspect of it too is, where did they land? Like, if a player lands in Cleveland, I am
Oh,
like, I'm
oh
like,
no. You got to
there's
be
like a,
generational. You got to be generational to
bro, there's
survive.
like a 60% chance they aren't going to survive.
Right. You got
Like,
to be
if
Miles Garrett. You literally got to
back
be
in the
Miles Garrett to
day
like get it
when
done.
it was the Oakland Raiders, if they landed with the Oakland Raiders, there's a good chance they were not surviving.
Well, the
I
ghost of
had
Al Davis is still there, so even if they land with the Las Vegas Raiders, I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you, pal.
I had a prospect get drafted way back in the day by the Oakland Raiders. And I was like, oh my God, he's cooked. He's done. It's over. And that's exactly what happened. He did absolutely nothing and flamed out of the league in like 3 years. And that was it. But I mean, we just heard even recently, and take it for what it's worth, but what's his name? And Keel Harry's coach just on a podcast said, hey, he went to the Patriots, he went to the wrong spot. He referenced a lot of other things too outside of that, but
I
that was a guy that I missed on. I thought Nkeel was going to be a dog. I thought he was going to be a really good player, and it did not work. Did not work at all.
My
Didn't
pushback for
work at
that would
all.
be, and I didn't really do too much background on him, but thank God the
I did a
49ers did because
lot.
then they found Brandon Aiyuk by going to go see N'Keal Harry. They were just like, oh, who's that guy? But my pushback would be is just he never seemed like a separator. Like he just never sent like and all right, so now we're talking about knocking receivers down on the board because I love watching receivers. Like I live for it.
He was a
That's literally my
50-50
favorite thing.
ball savant. You throw the ball
Hundred
up,
percent,
back shoulder, dude's coming down with
hundred
it
percent,
every single time.
100%, 100%. Mike Evans felt like that type of player as well too, but Mike Evans just is a dog and one of the best young receivers that has ever come into the league. Somebody who's still doing things that nobody's ever done in this league.
Yeah.
But what I look for in a receiver is I look for separation. And not separation based on route combination. I'm talking about there's a guy in front of you. Can you win with your feet Can you win with your hips? Can you win with manipulation, body manipulation on them? Can you get yourself open? That's the part that starts to scare me. Because there's plenty of guys that we can pop on the tape in college and say, "Well, that was a bomb 60-yard pass." Yeah, it was a miscommunication between the two guys, and he just happened to running full speed. Once you stop your feet as a corner, you're cooked. That's it. He's going to run right by you. He doesn't even have to be fast. But what I look for is separation skills. Now, there's guys who can separate, and I'm like, well, they're going to be fine. There's guys who can't separate, and I'm going to say, well, that's a concern. But there are plenty of guys who don't separate in the league right now, that still have found ways to finish and still have found ways to be able to be productive. And again, a weakness, something that's a concern, shouldn't take you away from saying, I think this young man has to work on this, and this
Mhm.
isn't the reason that I would absolutely stay away from him. And that's the whole argument here that we're trying to present about draft prospects.
And then Keel would have checked every box from a measurable standpoint.
Correct.
Height, weight, speed. He had
Yep.
everything. So again, to your point, you're absolutely correct. The separation was an issue. Where if you don't have that rapport with a quarterback or in a system that suits that skill set, and you're out of place, you're not going to find success. And so he had all the traits, right? He had all the measurables. So that would be a guy you point to, had the wingspan, had the height, had the speed, had it all, showed it on tape. Bro looked like Julio Jones low key to me at ASU.
Shout out to Julio.
Is that mini Julio? And that's no disrespect to Julio,
Shout out to
because
Julio.
obviously in Keel has flamed out really
This
quickly.
This is a big Julio Jones household. So yeah,
Mine as well.
Yeah.
Mine, I loved Julio. He anchored my dynasty team for a long time. That was my guy. But it was just a situation where it didn't fit, right? Didn't land. So it is what it is. And so we take each individual prospect, we run it through the gamut, see who pops, who doesn't. Sometimes the guys you think that are going to hit don't.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Jalen Reagor was, hate to say it now. I thought Reagor had some talent.
The Philadelphia Eagles thought so as well.
I didn't think he was better than Justin Jefferson. I'll go on record on saying that.
Have you ever seen that video of the Minnesota draft room?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So for anybody that doesn't know, for the uninitiated, right? The Philadelphia Eagles selected Jalen Reagor right before Justin Jefferson. And the Minnesota draft room literally went jubilant. Like, I can't believe, and this is the evaluation process. This is what we're talking about. Right. One team sees it one way, one team sees it another way. And they literally were clapping, high-fiving. They didn't even think. They were like, rush the card up. Like, the card up. Like, they were sure that it was going to be Justin Jefferson.
They couldn't believe it.
And this is what the draft process, this is what makes the draft process so fun.
Right.
Because one team sees, this is our guy, this is going to be our number one guy. The team behind them was like, I can't believe you took him over Justin Jefferson. And this is all ties back into Stefon Diggs, because there's no Buffalo Bills fans in here, but you traded all those picks for Stefon Diggs. Could have had Justin Jefferson really early on.
Stefon Diggs was the 5th round draft pick, mind you.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. Oh, Maryland. Yeah. No. But what I mean is, they sent all those picks for Stefon Diggs. They could have absolutely selected Justin Jefferson and just had him really cheap, and then had to deal with his contract later on. So it all boils down to, again, how you see it, how I see it, how evaluators see it. But that Minnesota Vikings draft room exploded, and they couldn't even believe. Like, it was like they won the Super Bowl finally, because they still haven't won one. It was like they won the Super Bowl finally. Like, I can't believe you took Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. But there's very many people, aside from the Philadelphia Eagles, that believed that Jalen Reagor was a good pick. And funny enough, Jalen Reagor ended up in Minnesota, which was kind of funny. But I
think he's on the Patriots right now.
Yeah, I think so. But that's what we're kind of talking about, is everyone's so sure And what do we always say on this show, Brad?
You say
The
it.
rush to
That's
be
my
right.
tagline.
The rush
Yep.
to be right. Do you want to be right? Do you want to get it right? And it's hard to be the person who wants to get it right because the person who wants to get it right has to admit his L's. The person who wants to be right will be able to find a way to justify what their thought process and why something else was again, off on this, on this, on this, on this, on this. It's never your evaluation was off. The hardest thing for an evaluator to do is look himself and say, I got it wrong in any way. And again, we
Yes.
all do this.
It's challenging. It's very
It's very
challenging.
it's very challenging. We all do this.
Especially
We all
when it's one of your draft crushes that you're like, that's my
right,
guy. And
right.
he just
And
sucks.
you know what's funny too, Brad, is sometimes, and I don't even know if this is gonna like tie into our point, but sometimes it's easier than it looks. So for you and I to watch Sam Laporta's tape, see him at the combine, and we're like, oh, he's him.
Yeah.
That's not jumping out on a limb,
No.
like I always knew Nick Bosa was gonna be really good. Man, you really jumped out on a limb on that one. Like you really put your neck out on for that one. Like
Well,
that's the part that I find the funniest is like when you get something right and you're like, well, I
on
called Nick Bosa was going to be
like on
really
a
good.
first round prospect, like
Yeah,
we're arguing
good
about
call, good call,
first
pal.
rounders,
Yeah,
borderline first rounders.
you could have watched zero Nick Bosa tape and been like, I think Nick Bosa is going to be really good, and you'd be right.
Well,
But
it's
like
like
this whole, good.
I was just gonna say, like, when we were talking about N'Keal Harry, he wasn't even the first off the board. It was Hollywood Brown. Then it was
Yeah.
N'Keal. Then it was Debo. Then it was AJ Brown. Like,
Wait. And who else?
there's another one. That was a good. That was like the
That's the one where you and I connected. What's his name?
Terry. That's the Terry. Jalen Hurd went before Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin won the 5th round, ladies and gentlemen. Both Jason and I could see as plain as day that Terry McLaurin was that guy.
Love you, Terry.
And this was before we knew each other, too, which was hilarious because this is one of the first things that we bonded over was Terry was a draft crush of yours. Terry was a draft crush of mine. I literally called him the CEO. Like that he had the measurables, but he wasn't Curtis Samuel. He wasn't
Love Curtis Samuel, by the way.
He wasn't Paris Campbell.
So speaking about like getting it right and like and Curtis Samuel was just in the wrong positions, and I think he's still looking for his spot. Right?
Wide receiver 1 now.
Curtis, hey, circle. Oh dear. I mean, obviously the Buffalo Bills are gonna. I think the Buffalo Bills are gonna draft Mitchell. I think at this point, but like that's what we're talking about. Is I hate bringing it back to this. Kyle Shanahan was at that same Senior Bowl that Terry McLaurin was at. And he was so locked in on what he thought Jalen Hurd could do that you overlooked the guy that is just a wide receiver and a dog.
I'll say this. I know we use Jalen Hurd as a punching bag.
It's not Jalen Hurd's fault.
The injury,
not Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurd. I'm sorry. Jalen Hurd.
It just the injury leaves it as an unknown.
Yeah, it does.
We don't. To me, in my opinion, if he doesn't get hurt, who knows? Who
then
knows?
I see.
Who knows how?
I can at least see the vision. I can see the vision. I can see the vision. Right. You look at a guy and you say, "Oh, he can do this, 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 and this." Sometimes the guy that does all the things that are just not as flashy or just
he was a running back who transitioned to wide receiver. He
had played tight end.
Right, he had a very unique skill set and frame, and we just never got to see it come to fruition because he got hurt in his rookie season and preseason. So that's my asterisk on Hurd is like, yes, you look at what Terry McLaurin is doing. He's one of the best wide receivers in the league, and it's not up for debate. It's just, and you see that he was taken after Jalen Hurd. My thing with Hurd is like, we just don't know. We don't know what he could have been.
It felt like that was a home run pick, and your doubles pick, like you could have a guy who he can be swing and miss or home run. Bring it back to baseball because again the Yankees are 6-1. Ha ha ha. He could be your home run or strikeout guy, but there was a guy that constantly hits doubles and is constantly knocking runners in, and that's what Terry McLaurin is every single time he steps on the field.
He's
And I
just a
think,
baller.
yeah,
So,
that's it. He's just really good. He's just hashtag really good at football. But this is it. Looking at all this stuff, it's very easy to say in hindsight. But when and it ties it all back into what we've been talking about. What you're looking for, you think the fit is, your situation. All these things matter. They all matter because even a guy like Puka, right? If Puka Nakua gets drafted by a team that does not throw the football, doesn't have a quarterback like Matthew Stafford
Puka
who
had
can throw the
horrible
football,
measurables. Puka
yeah,
had
look,
horrible
but
testing.
so the thing is, if you put Puka on a team like the Cleveland Browns, let's just say the Cleveland Browns, they got Amari Cooper, they got Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones. They don't throw the football a lot. Do we even know who Puka Nakua is if he lands with the Cleveland Browns? But he lands with the Los Angeles Rams, and he's very good at football. Matthew Stafford can get him the football.
Cooper Kupp
It's
gets hurt.
right, and it's hard to showcase your talents in the wrong situation.
Jason, speaking of cone or 3-cone, I had a faster 3-cone than Puka Nakua.
uh, that's insane.
I ran a 7.3 flat. He had a 7.32.
Hey,
I had a
Puka
faster
Nakua,
3. I had a faster 3-cone at
I would never
250 pounds than
I would
Puka
never take a
Nakua.
shot on Puka Nakua. I can't believe that an offensive lineman ran better than a wide receiver. Why would you even take a shot on him, man? He's completely off my board. By the way, hair way too long. Got to get him off the board. Got to get him off our board.
He beat me on short shuttle by .04. I was 4.4 flat on my short shuttle. He beat me by .04.
But what he did was he improved. He worked on his route running. He had a situation where it was very offense friendly, and he had a quarterback who could deliver him the football in spots
And he
that
could
nobody else could.
he could just play football.
Yes, he might just be a good
That's such an
hashtag football player.
underrated I think
Attribute.
metric
Yeah.
that's
Are you good at
undefinable.
football?
Can you
Are you
play
good?
Can you just play football?
Can you
Can
play
you
football?
can you go on the field and survive?
Yeah.
In fact, can you survive? All right, can you elevate? Can you elevate others around you? There's like levels to just being a football player that again we've had some fun with this topic, but it comes down to granular evaluation of measurables versus can this guy play football?
Yeah.
Ultimately, at the end of the day. So, for every example of a guy who doesn't have the requisite measurables that fits the standard, there's an outlier. So that's why it's always been a challenge of mine to find the outlier. I've actually have so much fun with it. Like you talked about, like, oh, well, you said this first rounder is going to be good. That's why one of my all-time favorite hits was Kittle. Like
Yeah.
I was lit just like you see me with Troy Faltanu right now or Brian Burns of the past. That's how I was before I had my platforms with George Kittle. I got blocked by one of the top draft analysts because he didn't think Kittle was anything. He called him like a fullback, and I was chirping him. And I was like, I posted the receipts before. Like, I saw the vision. I saw what Kittle brought to the table, underutilized, but a baller. And he had all the traits that you needed that projected to him being a good tight end in the next level. And guess what? He landed in the perfect spot. So having the traits isn't just that. You also have to land in the spot. That's why I think this whole draft thing is just difficult to wrap your head around because it's individual to the prospect, but it's also where do they go? Where
Yeah.
do they land? Who's in front of them? What
Right.
does their opportunity look like?
So
It's there's so many different things.
if Puka Nakua landed in Pittsburgh and Kenny Pickett was throwing the ball into the stands, everyone would just be like, "Man, this guy, he's not that good, man. I don't know if they like why they should have drafted him." And JD Durham says, "I live in a van by down by the river." That's such a good
It's a
Chris
throwback one.
Farley reference. Yeah, but I think all right. The overarching theme and everything that we're trying to bring together is the process of evaluating isn't simply tape. It isn't simply attributes. It isn't simply interviews. It isn't simply combine. It isn't simply
Fit.
you know any time, right? Like any team, right? Because if Puka Nakua goes to Cleveland and there's all those guys in front of him and they don't run the ball and he never gets any burn, he likely is a cut candidate for the Cleveland Browns. But he lands in the right position. Things happen his way. He got better. He has a quarterback who can throw him the football. I know you don't like that, San Francisco 49er fans, but Matthew Stafford can throw the football. Shocking. Breaking news. Like, shocking breaking news. But I just, I want everyone to stop dismissing people immediately because of something that is a weakness or a perceived weakness. Instead of using everything and all the stuff that you have at your disposal in terms of attributes, film, what he does well. Because when he does one thing poorly, it's he's off my board. The one thing that he can't do poorly, and this is a receiver, never get open, um, drops everything, then I'll be like, okay, this is a guy that's off my board. Like if you have like 2 and 3 and 4 things where I'm just like, you can't catch, you can't run routes, you can't beat man, you can't block. I don't know what you do really well. Like at this point, like like if you find a guy like that, then that's fine. But when you find one weakness and you just completely write the guy off and don't acknowledge that there's a way for him to get better, that's the part that's the hardest part for me.
I did that with JC Horn. I saw one weakness and I grabbed it like this because I was more interested in being right
Ah,
than getting it right.
ah,
And that was the last time that I've done that,
ah.
where I was like, you know what? I want him to be bad because a person who's propping him up, I want him to be wrong. So I'm gonna go through this tape and find everything I don't like
Well,
and convince myself that he's not any good. And I learned the hard way because although he's been injured and has like just a hard time staying on the field, he has proven when he's available, he's a pretty darn good cornerback.
right.
So, and the issues that I had with him were things that could have been overcome, and I tried to amplify them.
One other thing that I despise is, and we talked about this about I don't learn about a player when things are going well. I learn about a player when things aren't going well or they're not filling up the stat sheet. So when I ask you or anyone about a player, and let's just say it's a running back or a wide receiver, and you pull up, I watched this game, and in that game, the running back was 20 attempts for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns, or you watch the wide receiver and he was 8 for 150 and 2 touchdowns, and that's the only game you watched. Shit, if I watched everybody's best game, I would think they're the best player of all time as well, too, without any sort of weaknesses or anything like that. That's what's so hard about this is I watched the tape. Well, grinding tape isn't fun. I want to be the first to make sure I say that, Brad. I don't think it's something that's fun. That's not something I tried it yesterday 3 and 4 times, and I wasn't having fun. Like, I just wasn't like, oh, I'm having a blast right now doing this, right? It's not fun. I don't want anybody to think that shit is fun. It's not fun.
I'm having
But
fun when I find a prospect that's
no.
enjoyable
When
to
I
watch.
no, I was literally, you know what I was doing yesterday? I was going to look at tape on guys that I wasn't as big on because I wanted to see a bunch of things just to see if they could change my mind. It's not fun watching tape over and over and over trying to identify, the guy that's there, and sometimes you get these angles on this all 22 and it's just awful. Like, you have no idea where the guy is, all those things. It's not fun. But I think it's necessary to watch a certain amount on a player before you have a definitive stance. And I think that is very fair, 100% fair. I think when you watch a guy and you watch his best game, you know, if I put on Kobe's, 4 air balls against the Utah Jazz, God bless the dead, you might be like, yo, this guy don't got it. But if I put on Kobe putting 48 against the Sacramento Kings when he was only 23, you'd be like, damn, he's the man. And you're right, because he is the man. But context matters when you start to give these clips out. Like, I just, people are like, oh, I watched this game. Yeah, it was like 8 for 158 and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, everybody's going to look great in those games. It's just like, show me the games where he's not productive. Show me the games where he has to work and block. Show me the games where he's running routes and the ball's not going to him. That's when you're really going to learn about the player. You're not going to learn about the player when they're doing well, because everybody looks good when they're doing well. I don't even know if that makes sense. But I think you get what I'm trying to say, Brad.
Yeah, for me, it's body of work. You got to
Yes.
put together a body of work. That's
Everything.
why I think that was instilled into me as an offensive lineman, because as an offensive lineman, you're going to get beat. As a cornerback, you're going to get beat. As a wide receiver, you're not going to get open every route. As a quarterback, you're not going to make every play. But it's body of work. How consistent can you be? And can you tie it all together? And that's what you're looking for. And like, a guy like Roger Rosengarten, I think, is a perfect example of this. He tests extremely well, and he has some reps on tape that are like really nice. But when you get into the tape, he's inconsistent. And that to me is something that causes me to be like, well, based on your testing, based on some of your highlights, I would bump you up maybe into the high second, mid second round. But because I see the inconsistencies of falling off blocks and not winning and not using those attributes to your benefit, is where I keep you in the third. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
it's the body of work. Like, I came across a highlight of his. I was like, holy crap, he looks like a first round draft pick in this highlight. Right. But that's not the truth. You have to go watch the tape. We can all cherry pick good plays. We can all cherry pick bad plays. And that's the problem with the state of social media right now, is people cherry pick one way or the other. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I don't cherry pick either.
I've done
But
it.
part of it is like, you can spin a narrative however you want. I could spin a narrative that any player is bad. I can spin a narrative that any player is better than he is.
Yeah.
But the reality is somewhere in the middle, right? And so you just have to find that with the body of work and how consistently they show up on tape. And with all the other things that we talked about intertwined, measurables, technique, dog meter, all of it compounds into how we develop our evaluations and how we move forward. And again, that's also to say we don't have a 100% hit rate. I do not have a 100% hit
Nobody
rate.
does.
Am I extremely confident in my ability to evaluate that I would go toe to toe with every expert evaluator in the media right now, including professionals? Yeah, I'm that confident in myself and my ability to
Love
evaluate.
that.
I'm that confident. But that doesn't mean I'm always going to be right. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
I'm going to hit every single time. Doesn't mean that strong opinion I have is actually accurate. But that's the beauty of evaluation, is it's also an evolution. And so as you watch these guys evolve, so should your evaluation. So
Hey,
that's really what it comes down to, in my opinion.
I don't even want to say anymore after that bar that was just dropped. I think we put a complete bow on it. Like, yeah, I'm done. I'm completely done here. I'm done. Yeah, that's
We're
perfect.
done.
That's perfect.
Hey, that was fire.
That's a bar.
Um,
You definitely are
that's
a
a
J. Cole
bar.
fan. That's a bar.
That's my guy right there, baby. It's a cold world out here. So we that's funny, man. That topic turned into like a solid 50-minute segment
And you know what?
where,
And you and I got on here. We're like, oh man, I don't even know how we're gonna stretch this into an hour or anything like
yeah,
that.
what are we
Like,
gonna
it's
talk
it's.
about?
I knew that
Every
we'd get
time,
into a good discussion.
every time,
Yep.
every time. That's why I love doing this stuff with you, man, because like literally I could be like, and I'm not even like the biggest talker or anything like that. That's why it's like we just go back and forth, and it's just like we took a topic, we're like, oh, we talk about this, we talk about. We're almost 2
Ended
hours
up being
into
the
a
whole
show.
show. And honestly, it's perfect because you're not a big talker, but I'm the biggest yapper, so it works.
Oh,
I think. Yeah, it's just like
you pull the yapper out of me. It's really
it's
inspirational, man. It's really
Jason.
inspirational.
The streets are calling me Jason Yapante, and I think that's not off from anywhere. Big yapper. Yankees don't suck. They're 6-1. Get cooked,
Big,
pal. Best team
big
in
yapper.
baseball. Big yapper.
Hey, just know that if you guys keep chirping Aponte about his Yankees and the Yankees are any
Can't
good,
chirp me. Can't chirp me. Best team in baseball,
he's
baby.
gonna put it in your face all off season.
Could it be me? Team has more than one loss. Insane. I don't know how
Oh
you root for
my
a
god.
team like that. Could be me.
Oh my gosh. Oh, all right. On that note, you got anything before we get out of here?
Nah, man. Thank you guys again for tuning in. I know that the content is it's definitely seen a dip. There's people that are very much interested in the draft. There's a lot of people like who are just kind of waiting for things to happen. But we appreciate everybody who's tapped in, and
Of
um,
course.
obviously Niners Nation is where you'll find Niners Nation is the website, guys. Niners Nation. They're not going to change it to Niners Empire, so let's stop. Niners Nation is where you can find my stuff. And there's going to be possibly, and I would like to on this platform because I'm going to put Brad on the spot.
Okay.
Brad Graham, the last time the San Francisco 49ers had a first round draft pick, you were invited on the Sprint Ride Option podcast to do a mock draft.
Ooh.
I would like to extend a similar offer from Andrew Pasquini and myself for you to join the Sprint Ride Option podcast, and let's run a mock now that the San Francisco 49ers are back in the first round. And I don't know if he's too big time for us, but it might have to be. It
Ooh,
might have
run
to
it
be time.
back.
It might have to be time.
With Jordan McShay?
Brad Kuiper, Jordan McShay, a.k.a. Jordan Elliott of NBC Sports. We've got to find a way to make this happen, and that's the offer that I'm going to extend here on this live platform. I'm putting you on the spot.
I will only agree to these stipulations if
Jordan with suit?
If Pasquini absolutely is there. If as long as he's there, I'm there.
No. It's Sprint Ride Option. It's Sprint Ride
Yes.
Option, and it's going to be a mock. I've never seen
Good.
Pasquini more locked in on this draft. He actually knows these guys. I mean, obviously,
Let's
he
go.
says Braden
Yes.
Fisk at 31, no matter
If
what, because he's a
Pasquini's
big Florida
there,
streak. Yeah.
I am there. Yes.
Lock
100%.
it in. Lock it in. We have to get
lock
Jordan back in the suit, everything. For anybody who isn't
Oh my
initiated,
God.
when the 49ers
Yes.
owned the third pick, this happened. Jordan Elliott wore an entire getup, and Brad was Mel Kiper, Todd, and that's Jordan McShay. That's where we got that from. But yeah, we'll make it happen. I think that's definitely going to be something that we're going to do.
Yeah, sign me up. I'm down.
Hell yeah.
All right, everyone. You know the vibes. Make sure you sub to both channels, like each video, all that good stuff. You already know we're going to be bringing more 49ers content per usual. And hey, thank you for vibing with us as we get spicy about our draft.
Jordan is playing for the Niners now. That Jordan Elliott bit is going to be critical this entire season.
He's going to be, he probably loves it now. He's going to be so tired of it in like week 3.
He's not. Dude, so all right. So real quick. So anybody who listens to the great Matt Mayoko and Jennifer Lee Chan on their podcast,
that was so cool.
That's
dude.
such a good clip. They're literally talking about, I thought Jordan Elliott was trolling inside of the NBC thing, and now he plays for the 49ers. It's so good, man. Shout out to Matt and JLC. But yeah, it's so good, man, that like this Jordan Elliott bit, like I need the jersey in the cart now. Like I need it in the cart like right now, just so we can keep this bit going. Like you thought McKinnon from the Wildcat was boring, or it just got old after a while. We're gonna run this Jordan Elliott into the ground. Like Jordan Elliott playing for the 49ers, we're running it into the ground.
Hey, both of us pull up in Jordan Elliott
jerseys. I love it. Name the game and we'll bring it and we'll do it.
All right. Oh, dude, I completely forgot our one
Oh, there you go. Alan
super
from
chat.
Coles.
Y'all should make a Madden franchise. You even mess with Madden?
I would for this. I just don't want to play. But if we're talking about like who we can add and stuff like that,
Yeah, like building out a franchise
yeah,
trade.
like the MUT, like they just added today. I believe they just added Eli and Peyton, Manning cast, and they just added Pat McAfee.
I've actually
To
never played
uh,
Mutt before.
yeah, I don't, no, no, no. Honestly, if we do Mutt, then it's gonna have to simulate it. But if we're talking about building the team, then I'm all with it. Like we should absolutely do it. And I would be down to do it on YouTube and build a team with everybody here. I mean, I think that's some good content that we could fill.
Hey, I mess with franchise mode, so if you're down, then
Yeah,
maybe we cook something up some
I mean,
for the real peak off season when the draft
yeah,
is over and we're twiddling our thumbs on what to talk about.
I
That
mean,
might be an option.
PS5 is probably going to give it to me for free eventually. They just gave me 2K24, the Kobe edition. I've been locked in on that. That's pretty fun. They have those Kobe moments and stuff like that. So I think once it gets a little bit, I mean, I don't know why they aren't giving us it for free now or whatever, but I'm not signing up for EA Play just for it. But that's definitely a good idea.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I
I
do it
like
for
that.
the culture.
Let's do it. All right. Appreciate everyone tapping in. You know the vibes. We're out of here for now. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good rest of your evening. That's Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. We're going to get into it all right now.